What's going on, everybody? Investor Springs back with another video, and I got a very interesting part at the end of this video that if you stay tuned, I want to tell you guys about a celebrity I believe I called this week. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I ain't even showed y'all the house yet, and I kind of want to give y'all a house tour, vice versa, just overall good look at the house. But I wanted to do it when I do my Who Am I video, just to kind of help elaborate on who I am and what I've done, what God has allowed me to do, opportunities put in front of me, such things like that. That's when I really wanted to show you guys the house. But I guess I'll give y'all a little snippet, just so y'all can know who I am. So this is mi casa. This is one side of it. It's a duplex, meaning it's one big house split down the middle. But in this case, it's split between a second floor and a first floor. How in the world did I get this house at the age of 20? I'll tell you, for one reason, is God has a lot to do with it. God has a whole lot to do with it. Second reason is the Navy. If it wasn't for the Navy, it's God 100%. But yep, that's a little bit of the exterior. It's not perfect, but it's mine. It's my first investment, and I'm learning a lot and being taught a lot at the same time. So let me get on to this video. I got a very interesting video for y'all today because I actually had called a celebrity. And with that being said, if you stick with me to the end of this video, I'll actually show you guys the audio footage from that phone call and let you kind of make the decision yourself. First and foremost, this is week 2. My name is Kenneth, Investor Springs, and my goal is to be an influencer for those that are really looking to get into real estate, leading by my own example, and literally use this platform to track my progress. In no means or any way am I perfect. I'm not the most skilled investor. I do not have millions and millions of dollars, but I do have a mindset, and I do have a lot of knowledge that was passed to me from a lot of the people I looked up to while I was in the military and getting out, that got me to where I am now. And with that, to them, I want to say thank you so much. So moving forward is week 2. For those of you that are wondering why I'm on week 2, for what, I came across a video from Brian and Rigbu. Please check out my previous video to kind of elaborate more on it, but it's a challenge I put to myself to see not only if a deal could come about, but at the more important side of it, what kind of person will I become? This second week has been a very interesting week for me. It has been challenging, and I know I have not met the expectations Brian has set in terms of how to get 30K in 30 days. But I did learn a lot about myself in terms of my consistency rate, my perseverance to get the next call. And at least with cold calling, it is a beast. You got to be a beast to get into this. At least with your mindset, you got to come into it very strong. And there was a lot of times where I wasn't staying as focused throughout this week. Here's some gems I want to drop for you guys before we get to the phone call from this week. The first biggest gem is, as you guys are getting into cold calling, if that's what you choose to do for your marketing, and if this actually goes for any marketing strategy, but specifically with cold calling, you have to go into this knowing it's not about setting a daily call rate. It's actually about setting the conversations and looking for how many genuine conversations you have. I know last week for week 1, I was setting a mark to try to do 300 calls a day. And in my head, I was telling myself, okay, if I have 300 calls, there's a definite chance that I'll talk to at least 50 people. But it didn't work like that. At least for my second day into week 2, it took about 650 calls just to get 10 no's, 10 to 15 no's. And, at least for me, it was very, very, very much a wake-up call to not focusing on the number of calls I'm doing, because it will take a lot of calls. Of course, it depends on what time you call, what list you're calling, and how you approach sellers when you speak to them on the phone as factors. But the main one and the most serious one isn't even about the total number of calls. It's good to know, where you're averaging out a week in terms of it, but I would say if you're setting your total calls as one of your tracking measurements, don't let it be on a daily basis that you're trying to hit a certain number. Let it be trying to hit a certain amount of conversations, and let the calls come as they come. There's a little girl in the neighborhood playing, and she's kind of loud, so I'm gonna go ahead and move into my house to pick up on this video. Real quick, let me introduce y'all to my two children. Kenny got kids? Yes, Investor Springs has kids. Here's one of them. This is my daughter, Selena. Very, very beautiful. Look, just tucking into me. And then this is my other daughter, Ruby. Very, very beautiful. Come here, Ruby. Come here, girl. As you can see, they some spoiled little babies. All right, go play. Go play. All right, on to the video. All right, so if there was anything I could tell you for one and for sure, is that, you know, the calls aren't as important as the conversations. Make sure you're putting conversations first. At least for this week, going into week 2, my call times have been between 8 and 12 p.m., 8 a.m. and 12 p.m., 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m., all Eastern Standard Time. At least with my way I've been doing my calls, I actually have part-time work that I work a few days out the week in the evenings, so I would adjust my call times as needed. It's usually 3 to 4 hour call periods, sessions, and it is tough. You got to have the right mindset going into that, to sit in front of my computer using the dialer and whatnot for such a long period of time, at least 3 to 4 hours. No, I didn't get hemorrhoids, but at the same time, here's what's helped me. At least for 3 to 4 hours of making those calls, I usually play some music in the background. I try to take breaks, you know, and that's really what makes it be up to 4 hours of call time. And at the same time of taking breaks and, you know, taking a sip of water, just breathing a second when it starts to get fast paced. I really try to just stay focused on my goals. You know, at least now I'm more focused on calling until I reach 50 interactions where 50 people tell me no or yes. And at the same time, stay focused on why I'm doing this in the first place. And that's to prove Brian's plan and his blueprint correct, but at the same time work on myself and figure out a way to approach cold calling as my main marketing strategy that produces deals in a wash, rinse, and repeat cycle. All right, to not hold you guys for too long, another good tip I want to give you guys that are going into cold calling is make sure you kind of get used to saying your statement. I call it like a quick draw statement, but it's pretty much like when they answer the phone, your initial statement to introduce yourself and why you're calling. And at the same time, you got to have your goodbye sentence to say if it's a wrong number, wrong person, or if they're not interested. So for example, I always start my conversation off saying, hi, is this blank? And I'll fill it in. So if it was, you know, Investor Springs or Kenneth Springs was the contact, hi, is this Mr. Springs? And if a woman answers, hi, is this Mrs. Springs? That's always my first approach. Now, leave that pause for them to be able to respond. And at the same time, with what they respond with, I go into my spiel of who I am, what I do, and what I'm asking for. So with you guys, you got to understand this is a game where you got to have tough skin, because simply saying, how are you doing today? Some people don't care to tell you how they feel. They want to know why you're calling them. So for the majority of the people that are not interested, there's going to be just as many people who are interested to sell their property, and they're waiting on the call from me. So as I'm calling, I just keep that in mind. Like, yes, this specific contact may not be interested, but the next call could be the one that changes everything. And at least from this week, I've had about 5 really good leads. Well, it was really 4, but amongst it was 5 really good leads. And it's led into me starting off the week kind of rough to where once I started getting more consistent with my no's or specific interactions that I kept track of, and I pushed farther to like call more each day. As the end of the week came, my leads were starting to come in, and it made me smile just kind of looking back at it, that, you know, it was shown to be true, not to really focus on the calls, but focus on conversations. Let the calls build up on their own. So from this week, those are the biggest things that helped me. I know at least for personal lessons, I know I got to get out of my own head. Zach Ginn, he actually has a video interview that he did with Cody Hoffine. And if those of you that don't know Cody Hoffine, he's a coach, but also he's a part of one of the biggest organizations that help newcomers in real estate get started, specifically with wholesaling, but also learning about the other methods of investing. And like their organization does a lot of interviews with people like myself that go from zero to something. I'm not on the level to be interviewed yet, but at the same time, for those that have started off at zero and got to a point where they can now give back and actually teach, how they did it, or even give back to people to give them the hope that it's there and you can do it. They are always opening their platform to people like that. But anyway, Zach Ginn did an interview with Cody Hoffine, and I watched it this week. Specifically, he said in it, I'll put it in my description so you guys can check it out. Make sure to subscribe to Zach Ginn too. His content is very good in terms of like me having somebody to look up to. I would definitely recommend him to anybody. But in this specific interview, Cody Hoffine explains how he had to come to realize for himself that some deals are meant for him and some are meant for other people, and that there's really no competition. I just stay focused on the goal. For every person that says no, there's one more person that's going to say yes, So ultimately, this week was very interesting. I do feel like I challenged myself. I know looking back, there's a lot more I could have done, but at least that's what I'm trying to share with you guys. So hopefully if you guys are trying to get into this, you're starting week 1 off where my week 3 mindset is. You know what I'm saying? And not having to repeat the same process that I'm doing, whether you're following this blueprint or just getting started into cold calling to find your own, first deal or second deal or following deals. Let's see. So for my main marketing strategies, I'm using Mojo Dollar, a prop stream. Turbo Skip is what I use to skip trace my properties. And between PropStream and Zillow, I kind of go back and forth on those to get my ARV. I'm going to be dropping videos in the future about how I'm running comps, how I found my ARV, my confidence speaking to sellers. I'll go through my script of what I say when I'm speaking to potential sellers. Just motivational stuff. I have a list of different video ideas that I've been writing down this week just about topics I want to cover with you guys. And at least for my subscribers, I really feel like we're all like-minded individuals. And to be legendary like us, it does take a mindset and having people around us in that same mindset. And at the same time, I'm actually building up a platform on Discord. It's my Investor Springs real estate platform for everybody to come to as a central hub. And there's so many Facebook groups and stuff like that. But what's going to make my Discord different is being able to do monthly lives where I will go on there and help educate people on certain topics where we can all come together. And it doesn't even have to be me talking. It can be somebody else in the seat just sharing knowledge, with a vetted background, and definitely somebody that's looking to give back. We're going to be having the top influencers that we can find that really provide value to the industry. And at least through my Discord platform, I want to help bring more people together, at least in the specific niches that we all enjoy, whether that's your fix and flip, your landlords, or your wholesalers, and then just investors in general. So I'll put that link in my description as well. I do ask that you guys join it. It is free to join, and you can kind of play with the tabs to see everything about my channel. I do have a little bit about myself on there, and in the future videos to come, along with my rehab updates, I'll provide a Who Am I video so everyone knows who Investor Springs is, and I'm not just this random guy posting videos about a challenge he's doing, vice versa, my transition out the military and stuff like that. So just a couple quick questions I wanted to cover. In terms of like tracking, right? I know one big question that I always battle with is what should I track when I'm cold calling? At least with this specific marketing method, I would say you do want to track your total calls on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, but don't set the limit per day. Let it be at the end of the day when you're done, at the end of the week when you have done a week's worth of work, and at the end of the month when you've done a month's worth of work, you see your total. And that would be very important to know, because one of the biggest investors in this game right now says that when people are struggling with talking to sellers or conversions, the first question they're going to ask is, how many people do you speak with? And at least knowing how many calls you make versus how many people you actually speak with can help you with the marketing of knowing what you need to tweak. Maybe it's the list, maybe it's the amount of contacts you're actually in contact with, like having interactions with. But definitely track your total calls. make sure you're tracking yeses and nos, and your daily, weekly, monthly traction of leads and voicemails. Definitely leave voicemails. If they do not answer, leave a voicemail. Voicemail is like a seed, and you best believe the other investors that are out there making cold calls, they're leaving voicemails. So if you don't do it, that's them taking a deal from you just because they left their name and number. At the same time, if their specific phone number doesn't have a voicemail, send them a text. If you can't send them a text or voicemail, go to the house and put a letter in it. You got to be proactive and be one step ahead, because the other investors that close the deals that are on here giving advice, they are going to take the extra step. So definitely you got to match what they're doing or go above and beyond what they're doing. And they're leaving voicemails, so make sure you do it. The lead tracker, that's very important to keep, as well as how many leads you're getting. So you know for every so many calls, it's roughly to work out to be this many interactions, this many leads, this many appointments, these many contracts that get to this many closed deals. And at least for me, you know, with this week's results, we're looking at, I grabbed the wrong paper, but it was about 2,400. Let me get the correct paper so I can tell you guys what we're looking at. For week 2, I was at 2,392 total calls, 13 hours, 36 minutes worth of call time. That led to 4 leads, 2 for this week, and then 2 that I follow up with on Monday. And I have no appointments, no contracts. For the 30-day total since I've started, it's showing, at least through the Mojo Dollar Perspective dashboard, 220 interactions I've had total, 3,691 calls, 25 hours and 18 minutes dedicated towards the process of me cold calling, which led to 1 appointment and 6 leads. So with that being said, I'm on to week 3, but let's get to this part of this call I had this week. All right, so going into the middle of this week, I called a very specific individual that it didn't even hit me until after the call who it was. So I'm gonna go ahead and play the audio first. It's about 30 seconds. You guys get a feel for it. You're not gonna know who it is just off the audio alone, but I'm gonna walk you through how, as soon as Mojo Dollar popped up this person's information because they answered the phone call, I just went through how I do my script normally. And it wasn't until after the call that all this was popping in my head. So let's play the call first, then I'll tell you about what happened afterwards.
Hello? Hello? Hello, good morning. Is this Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams? Yes, sir. Who's calling? My name is Kenneth. I'm an investor down at Hampton Road, and I saw that you're on the property of Virginia Beach. I'm just wondering if you ever thought about selling or doing anything with it. No, you got the wrong number, man. Okay, I appreciate your time. Sorry about it. All right.
So I get off the call. It was about 30 seconds, right? I'm sitting here. I'm like, something don't seem right. So I'm looking at the information, right? And at least for Mojo Dollar, how I prepared my list, it shows the property address that I'm of interest in purchasing. Then it shows where the mail gets sent to. Based on that property that I look up, I can find the owner's name and I can find where they get their mail sent to. So the person that owns this property in Virginia Beach gets their mail sent to a property in Los Angeles, California, right? So that was my first little flag. Like, okay. Well, the person of contact was Pharrell Williams. And at least from after this phone call, I jumped straight on YouTube and started looking at the Something in the Water interviews that he did when he came down to Virginia Beach to perform for last summer. And I'm listening to his voice in the interviews. And for those of you that do believe or don't believe, I just ask that you watch one of those videos of him doing the interview first and really listen to how his voice sounds in a normal talking tone, and then come back and check out this video. But pretty much it was evident to me that I think I really had called Pharrell Williams. It was just very exciting that I believe I had skipped trace and cold called Pharrell Williams, you know, out of all people. That was it. That's the celebrity. And, you know, I appreciate you guys rocking with me. You know, week 2 has been real tough. Going into week 3, I'm popping up every morning at 08. That's my plan, is just to get up at 8 a.m. hit my calls as soon as 8 o'clock starts, and run it all the way down pretty much until the latter hours of getting my interactions done each day, setting the bar for 50 interactions to be 250 interactions by the end of the week. So appreciate you guys rocking with me. That's it. That's all I got. This is Investor Springs. Peace.